Community. It is the single greatest evolution in fandom and geek kind. It has allowed us to go from the fringe elements of society to the largest and most dominant form of entertainment on the planet. But there's just one problem. The community. Welcome to the first in my series of TLDRs, videos dedicated to people who didn't take the time to read a blog. Thank you. It only hurts me on the inside. But the first one I thought I would do would be the one on community. So I should stress, when I say the community, I mean capital T, the, as if there's this idea pervading the zeitgeist at the moment that there's only one community. I put it to you that there is more than one community. I put it to you that there are many communities, many tribes, many peoples, all inhabiting one landscape, regardless of what that fandom or hobby or form of entertainment may be. The idea that there's this monolithic thing that describes everyone in that group, I don't know, there's just something about that doesn't sit with me.
This isn't a productive area of discussion.
It doesn't make sense. And I'll use the example I always go to was going to PAX Oz in 2019. When you go into PAX Oz, it's like, oh, it's a gaming convention. Okay, so that's the gaming community, the community. The problem you have there is when you go through, and it's perhaps not a problem, I celebrate it because I loved walking through this wild, uncharted landscape that I'd never seen up close before, only heard about in hushed whispers and various video reels. But going through from the neon jungle that was the video gaming area with the indie devs in their fringe elements showing off their wares and being quite proud of themselves, going through to more established sort of gaming areas with the more established companies showing off well-known AAA titles, all the way through to getting to the esports arenas and the MMOs. And even within that, like if anyone wants a really good breakdown of this kind of stuff, look up a series, Video Games High School, and it really nails it. Like, it's all video games, but even within video games, you have different communities. You know, there's no the video gaming community. Like, I have a bit of a thing about turning things into monoliths. I don't know. It's a bit of a hesitancy on my part. But you walk out of that area and you go into the more well-lit, you know, stall, broken up, there's tabletop offerings, and even within that, you go from the wargaming tabletop to the role-playing tabletops to the board gaming tabletop games. And it's all different. But as an individual, you might share common goals or common fandoms or common interests across those things. But I chafe still at the idea of there being the community. And it comes down in small parts because every time I seem to see this the community, the hairs on the back of my neck seem to stand up because I think it's being used incorrectly or used like a cudgel. Because when you have it implies it's the only, the main, the focused one. And the problem with centralizing anything like that is it becomes a matter of, well, now we're going to make it exclusive. Now we're going to make this area just our way, and this is the one, the premier, and everyone else is a pale imitation. And that attracts people like fish that stick to the bottom of sharks to pick at scraps. And I know I'm going to cop a lot of flack for this, but I think we can all of us agree that when you get into it, there are people who then try to set themselves up as authorities and things. And when I first wrote this article, it had come off the back of watching yet another dogpiling, yet another attack on a person by supposed leaders of the community. And I'm not throwing shade. It's not in particular, and it doesn't matter how it happened because it's not the first and only time it's happened. So when I see this going on, I think one, who set them up as the judge, jury, executioner, and it's this drive, when you see it as being the and the only, there is a natural instinct in it to want to defend it. And that comes from both sides. Look at Marvel right now. You have a franchise, a fandom, a community that will tear itself apart at the slightest drop of a hat. And I just don't see the point. I just don't see the reasoning for it. Like, there are people, all of them fighting for their perceived fandom, their perceived community. Because theirs is the community and they're doing this for the community. It becomes a rallying thing. And then it can be used as well by people to shield themselves from criticism. I mean, I'm not going to point fingers, but I'm pretty sure we can all think of one example recently in the tabletop role-playing community that came apart when certain accusations came out. And this person was a figurehead in the community. You know, so I find it interesting when you do that. And the other flip side to this that I think we should be a little bit worried about is when the community can be so easily infiltrated and subverted into something else. Because in the same way you get people that become spokespeople for it, there becomes an economic reasoning before it. And I don't mean for the person, I'm talking on a corporate level. Oh yes, we're going to shape the community and these people are part of the community and these people are not in the community. It just becomes divisive and stupid. Like, at the end of the day, I just find it interesting what people will and won't buy into. I don't know. Maybe I'm just getting older. Maybe I just don't care as much as I used to. I mean, I've watched enough of these intercommunal conflicts to really just go, I don't care anymore. And it's not in a cool sort of, I'm too cool to school to care. I just mean, I think it's a pointless endeavour to sort of knuckle down and go, we are the community and this is not acceptable. You'll just find it's a landmass. These landmass IPs and fandoms are just a space, a shared space. And I've spoken about this in another article, the Toxic Fandoms article, and I won't bridge two TLDRs together. You know, it's bad enough you don't read, you should at least go and, you know, watch two different videos I might make. But when you're thinking of community, I just think people nail this down. It doesn't matter. And I mean, look at Games Workshop, for example. I find it interesting, people like the wargaming community or the Games Workshop community, the hobby community. It's all just communities, plural. It's all just different people inhabiting the same shared space. And there's no the and not. There's no upper, lower case. It's all just space. And it all just becomes these sort of hypothetical, metaphorical battlegrounds where people can just divide each other down further and split along lines. And I just watch it and go, man, if that's your game, you roll ahead with it, because I just don't want any part of it. So how do you do it? How do you deal with what do we have? What is the community? What is a community? Well, for me, it's just people are going out there and enjoying what they enjoy. I don't think you need to work out where people are from. If you meet someone and they share an interest with you, maybe use that as a common bonding thing. Rather than trying to put up fences and divide, put out the hand and ask what people like. You know, get to know each other. Because I don't know, I just don't think there's a future in trying to divide up and figure out who is the community and who isn't. And also, it's just fucking tiresome. Why bother? But anyway, that's just the opinion of one Khan. By all means, leave yours in the comment section below. And if you want to make me a bit happier, you know, you could try reading. It's in the description below. Until then, get good, scrub. Learn how to read from the Khan.